Fellas, both of you all have touched on your Waymakers. But I like to understand, at what point in your career did you realize you had to become a Waymaker?
If it was a moment for me, it was when BET was sold to Viacom. In most of those instances, when a company is sold, several people's lives are changed.
Mm-hmm.
I was one of those people.
Mm.
And it was like, wow, manna from heaven, right? That you had never imagined. But I realized I had been prepared by my mother and grandmother my whole life for that moment. Because take Miss Jackson this cake, take Mr. Johnson this bread. And as a kid, you'd be like, don't they have their own cake? Don't they have their own bread? We barely got enough. Shut up, boy, just take it down there. When they would send me care packages in college, it would be a note in there, share this with Mike and share this with Phil. I'm like, I could eat all of this by myself. Why I got to share it with them? So this whole sharing thing had been a part of my life from being a little boy. So when I got this abundance because of the sale of the company, it made me go like, is this really all for me? I should be doing something else. I don't think God blessed me like this just for me. This is for me to bless other people. And that's when I started my internship foundation. And that was in 2003. And just show you what I did. I didn't know how to start a foundation. So I went to the people at Viacom at that time. I said, I want to start this foundation. I want to help diversify the industry. There are not enough people who look like me in the industry. And I said, I don't know how to do it. They said, don't worry about it. We'll get our law firm to help you do that. I said, well, how much is it going to cost me? Don't worry about that.
Wow.
There will be no cost. They will do it free of charge because they're our law firm.
Wow.
So as I was trying to be a blessing, I got blessed.
Wow.
Because I didn't know all the filings and you had to do by state and all of that. I didn't know any of that. I just knew I wanted to be a blessing for people who I didn't know and didn't know me. So that was that moment of time.
Wow.
Wow.
What would you
That's
say,
great.
Q?
I would say mine would be similar. I just think we were just raised right. We were raised to share. We were raised to be people lovers. I'm just a lover of people. And because I grew up in most instances without, I just wanted to make sure if I ever got an abundance, I wanted to share. I'm like FUBU all the way down. I'm for us, by us, all the way. It go through my blood. And so whenever I have access, I want to share it. That's what brotherhood is really. That's what community really is. And I think we repay our debt of life through service. You know, I started the Q Parker Legacy Foundation in 2016 to help aspiring artists enter into the recording industry in a better space than I did. You know, when we came into the game, we leaned on the fact that we could sing and was hoping that that would be enough. Well, there's a business side to this industry, just like all other sectors. And because we didn't know, it kind of bit us in our behind initially. But because we accumulated success, we were able to work through the initial contract and just kind of learn our value and negotiate our value. So there's a success even in the story. However, going through that experience and getting that knowledge, for me, I can't just sit and just have it to myself, especially when there is a next generation that I'm responsible for. And my motto is, it does me no good to take information, knowledge with me when my day is called. It does me no good at that point. I want to leave this world empty. Share all of my experiences, share all of my knowledge, the good and the bad. What may not have been accessible to me, I want to make sure this next generation have all the access. And so if they come through our programming, they'll have an entrance level of understanding way better than my generation had. Because if you know anything about the 90s generation of artists, a lot of us signed not so favorable record deals. And it wasn't because I don't think it was anything intentional. It was just the standard of what was given out to artists then, but we just didn't know because no one was pulling us to the side saying, hey, this is how you handle your business. This is how you stand up for your value and all that. We didn't know those things. And so because I now know, I want to make sure little Bernard, who is super dope, talented, has a basic understanding of how to enter into this game. And so that's just who I am, man. I thrive on sharing. And as someone was a Waymaker to me, I hope that one day someone is going to mention Q Parker's name in the Q Parker Legacy Foundation for being a Waymaker to them as well.
That is powerful. And what stands out for me biblically is to whom much is given, much is required. God has granted us and given us the blessing of abundance, overflow. He has enlarged our territory. All these things that we may have prayed for and are then the blessing. And it is on us to pay it forward. It is on us to help make a way for our communities so that we can normalize being waymakers, so that our kids and the kids and generations to follow don't have to experience what you experienced, what we've experienced, what our grandparents experienced. They deserve to have a greater life. And if God has blessed you, it is your duty to be of a blessing to others. He gave you a great name. He said nations would know the legendary Grammy Award winning group 112. Nations would know the name. Nations would know President Louis Carr. They would know the name, but they understood the assignment and what they owed to others.